Hi guys, I'm Shmee, and today we're at the Nurburgring as part of Rallye Germania to join in the Oldtimer Grand Prix weekend track day, but unfortunately it's been a little bit wet, which has kind of scared me off from taking the McLaren around today, but I'm going to do it at some point in due course. But instead, today I'm going to take a look at this car behind me, which is the AC Schnitzer ACS4 Sport. It's based on the BMW M4, but power is taken up from 430 in the standard car to 510, so more even than the M4 GTS, as well as a number of modifications. So let's have a little look around the car, then I'm going to take it for a test drive, see what it is like. But basically, let's take in the ACS4 Sport. On the cosmetic front, if we start around the front, well, firstly, let's talk about the wheels. New 20-inch forged wheels from AC Schnitzer in Aachen, Germany, which is not too far from where we are now. Coming around to the front there, you can see the lower carbon fibre sort of extenders, one on each side, giving it sort of a lower, slightly more aggressive front. And the car is wearing the Rallye Germania stickers because we have been on this adventure across this area of Germany. Working around, you've also got new carbon fibre mirror caps, sort of subtle modifications, not sort of overdone on this car. And around the back, a new exhaust system that we're going to hear in a moment with the AC Schnitzer tailpipe finishes as well, and it's got this sort of scuff plate along the rear as well. Oh, and of course the carbon fibre lip spoiler, how could I miss that? So from a looks point of view, M4, we know it's very popular. You have a number of different sort of standard M4 models. You've got the regular car, you've got the competition package, you've got the CS, and then at the top you've got the GTS. But this takes power, like I said, from 430 up to 510 PS, so you're looking at about 80 horsepower more. And then torque goes from the standard 550 up to 645, so 95 Newton meters of torque as well. So some nice performance gains there that you can have with the optional sort of tuning package. But let me just come around and jump in the car and we will start it up. So, jump in. Well, you've got a few other sort of parts that I can talk about as well, by the way. The floor mats and the AC Schnitzer pedal set just have nice sort of metal finish. It's got the AC Schnitzer handbrake lever as well. Step in and fire it up. Okay, so the familiar burble of the 3-litre turbocharged straight 6 that you've got up front. That sort of popular BMW block. Otherwise though, all very ready to be raspy and roar away if you turn up through the settings. I sort of have explained these in a number of videos before, but you've got sort of independent traction, powertrain, suspension and steering controls, and then also the 7-speed BMW M DCT that you can change through different settings as well. So if we put this into Sport Plus, and Sport Plus, you can hear that's a little bit raspier with the valve open. Now then, we'll hear more of that on the road, but we're parked up here at Apex as it happens, so everything is sort of making swift progress. The Apex building, Apex Nurburg, of course you've seen in my previous videos. Nice to be back here, but it's time to take this for a little drive and see what it's like out on the roads. Well then, the BMW M4, obviously a hugely successful model for BMW, the first time breaking the M3 out into the coupe being the separate model in the M4, and like I said earlier, it spawned off all these different variants with the competition, the CS and the GTS, and I drove the CS recently. It's the sort of latest to be launched, and it has a number of the sort of suspension tweaks and upgrades to the base M4, like the competition package, but then a bit more, taking it up towards the GTS. But then this car is even more powerful than the GTS, so that means 0 to 62 miles an hour, 100 kilometers an hour, and quick shout to the fact that we're going around the Touristenfahrten entrance of the Nurburgring Nordschleife here. 0 to 62 miles an hour goes down from the standard 4.1 in a base M4 to 4.0, so not too much difference, and the top speed is still limited to 250 kilometers an hour, 155 miles an hour, or you can raise that up to 280 kilometers an hour with an option from the factory, and that's still the same in the ACS package as well if you have the tuning upgrades. Now, in the car itself then, just cruising along, we already know about this car. I'm driving it in efficient, so the powertrain is all sort of set up to be the most cruisy mode possible. Suspension is actually in sport and steering in sport, but it's not rough, it's not uncomfortable, it rolls along the road very nicely. Everything basically as you'd expect it. In fact, the only sort of frustration is the 50 km/h speed limits, where the car just wants to be pushed a bit harder, as we can now as we head out of that limit. So you've got the buttons on the steering wheel for M sort of modes. M1 on this takes it into Sport, Sport Plus and Sport Plus, and the gearbox a little bit firmer. But we can just experience sort of a little bit about the M4, although like I said, I've featured it before. It's kind of interesting for me driving the regular car again, if you can say that. It's obviously got new springs from AC Schnitzer to sort of compete almost with those, I guess, factory options in a slightly new package. But let's pull out here, and away we go. So the exhaust valve is clearly open. We've got lots of noise coming through, which is nice from that straight six. It's quite a sort of barky and shouty engine, and one of the things actually when I sort of was recently driving the GTS was that I found it almost a little bit too much. It kind of just sort of pounces and does nothing, and then it does everything, and it means it's quite a sort of hard car to control, to tame, if you could say that. We're driving along in here, we're back to normal M4 almost, if you can call an M4 normal. It's a sort of almost mass market appeal cars. Used cars are on the market for a not too bad price point, so you can pick up a used car, then you can take it to somebody like AC Schnitzer and turn it into something a little bit more exciting should you wish. Just unfortunately it's quite busy day around here today, so we're stuck in a little bit of traffic, but we can open up the revs and get a little bit of noise from the car. The scenery around here is actually awesome. This is such a great place. You've got the Nurburgring, and then you've got these kind of driving roads, twisty and beautiful and wonderful to come to and sort of enjoy a car in every possible way. And then there's all sorts of events and meets and just crazy things happening everywhere. And like I said, this is old-timer GP weekend, so it's pretty busy around here at the moment. Head into another little twisty bit of road, let the revs build up. Now, obviously with the slightly greasy road surface, I'm not going to put my foot down flat. It's just started raining again on me, unfortunately. But it does feel, I guess, a little bit more sportier than the standard car. It doesn't have that sort of, I guess, it's a hard one to describe, but I've driven so many of the models of the M4 recently that the CS was really the one that stood out to me, because it had a better kind of ride and control without the over-the-top nature that the GTS did. And this feels, I mean, not driving it hard, obviously a little bit more towards that, without being uncomfortable, without being unpleasant. The ride, although admittedly on very soft sort of smooth roads, is not unpleasant at all here. Now that the engine is warm, let's have a little listen to the sound that this car makes. So it's in full noisy mode, M2 setting at the moment. Let's give it a few blips. Oh, the snap at the top end. So it sounds pretty awesome actually, doesn't it? They've managed to give it this really sort of extra rasp to the tone that even the standard car doesn't quite have. It's a funny one because the M4 has this kind of almost grown-up characteristic on the previous generation, the way it feels like it's kind of grown into what was, let's say, the 6 Series. It's kind of become, the M4 became what was the M6. It got quieter, it got more sort of usable long-distance road trip kind of car. Perhaps less of a sort of shouty thing, which is where the M2 came in and filled that niche. And there might even be a BMW M2 CS, CSL, GTS, something like that in the future as well. But just driving along in this, surprising me that I've actually got an awful lot of traction and grip. I'm not sort of lighting up the traction light all the time, which is kind of my experience of the M4s, shall we say, especially on kind of quite greasy roads like we have today, which is, like I said, why I'm not on the racetrack. But I'm kind of enjoying this drive, just a quick little one to see what the car's like, to hear the sound, to show you around it, show you the modifications. Let's head back to Apex, where we'll go chill out and have a sort of wrap up around the car. And we're back, where in front of me is the pop-up car wash that they've got going on here at Apex at the moment, including the sub 7-Up currently being cleaned. But I am back. You can see I've got many lights on the dashboard from the M dynamic mode and traction, all controlled through these toggles here, nice and easily, if you're not doing it through the stuff down there. But let's shut the car off, keyless system, and oops, I've forgotten the thing I always forget when you turn a BMW off, pop it into first. then turn it off. So it goes into park. Kind of simple, but I always forget to do that. But generally, actually, looking around here, you've got some nice trim. You've got the carbon fiber parts on the sort of factory car, which all look really cool. And I ran an M4 actually for a while from the BMW UK press fleet back at the time. It was a car that was good for the kind of purposes, using it as one car for everything. But I think what this does is the package kind of injects some life into an M4. Let's say you have an existing model and you want to spruce it up in terms of how it looks. I really like that front sort of part. I think that's really neat, the way it sort of extends down forwards, the intakes there. Not 100% necessarily sure on this choice of wheels, but obviously I'm done when it comes to carbon fiber. No stopping me, I'd always be jumping on those. And I think the lip spoiler, the way it sort of shoots backwards, is a nice design to it as well. And obviously the exhaust sounds rather good too. Anyway, just a quick little one, like I said, just to check out the ACS4 Sport, see what it's like. Have a little run in the car. I'm here at the Nurburgring while the track's not in so much use. I don't think I'm going to get a run out in the McLaren this time around. Maybe next time, hopefully next time, take that out on the ring. Anyway, thank you to AC Schnitzer for letting me drive the car. Hope you guys have enjoyed the quick look at the ACS4 Sport. That's it for now though. I'll catch up with you again very soon. Cheers.